Hey, what's up, guys? Just gonna do a run through of my games from this past weekend at WarGamesCon in Austin, Texas. Giant GT we had there, almost 100 people playing Age of Sigmar. So great times, a lot of really good players there, and awesome run event, a lot of fun. We'll look at some of my games, and then we can even pull up some of the scores from the from everybody else as well. Let's see. Here we got. Here was the final score sheet for the event. You have a lot of the names that you recognize up there at the top. Matt Taylor, Matthew Reingar. He came in second at the GT and Grapevine weekend prior to that. Jeremy Cooper. A lot of these guys. Andrew Carlson won Houston, and lots of good names on there. You can tell it was a really good tournament. This is just the top 20 or so. I highlighted the ones that I played on there, so you can see, I had some good competition here. I played 3 of my games were in the top 20 players, so I helped them on their way to their placements there. No, but I did come in as the top Seraphon. Hey, that's an achievement, right? We all know what a good place Seraphon is in right now. No, you have to scroll down quite a bit to find. Oh, there we are. Number 51. Yeah, this was a rough tournament. This was we had a lot of good competition, and I rolled all of the worst matchups for the game types possible. I think a lot of tough matchups, but also rolled the armies that I did not want to face on the battle plans I didn't want to play them on. So I did it up 2 and 3 on the weekend. Still had a lot of fun. Had a couple of really good games, and we'll go through those here in a minute. But I was top Seraphon, so I'm going to take that home with me and run with that. That was my moment of success, I guess. Some other good Seraphon players here. Byron and Joseph. I think we had maybe 2 more down there somewhere. Elijah, he was running Croak and a Dread Saurian, so kind of interesting. Joseph was running his Thunderquake. I didn't see what Byron was running. There was one more Seraphon somewhere in there, but yeah, a lot of good stuff. Top table was Matthew Taylor and Ryan Rutherford, who's running IronJaws. We saw a lot of IronJaws this weekend. I think there were maybe 10 different IronJaws factions being run. Somehow I ran into 2 of them this weekend. So over the past 3 GTs, I've played a lot of IronJaws. I've also played a lot of Khorne. Got some more Khorne this weekend. So to be honest, I'm kind of getting tired of playing IronJaws and Khorne. Especially when they one-drop on you and then just smash you to pieces. But I'm sure they'll have their reckoning when their battle tome comes out. We'll see. Hopefully they don't get nerfed too much, because they are a fun army. Anyway, on to my games. We'll run through those and see how I did. Oh, but first, my list. So I am running Seraphon. I'm actually running the same list I ran to the GT and Grapevine, and it's your standard Shadowstrike with 2 engines, the banner, Slann, of course, various spells, and then working the Purple Sun again. So that's probably the last time I'm going to run this one. When it works well, it does pretty good, but it requires a lot of randomness, especially with the engines, to be effective. So I feel like if the engines don't roll good, then your game just doesn't go good. And so I may fine-tune a little bit. I need to lower my drops a bit because that really hurt in a couple of games. If I can get first turn, then I can do pretty well. But if I don't, which happened in both the IronJaws games because they have 1 drop, then it doesn't go too well. So yeah, that's my list. Bastiladon, 2 engines, Shadowstrike. Trying to put together a good alpha strike with the Purple Sun and some spells, and then the Riperdactyls coming in. So on to game 1. Alright, so my first game was against Dan Norris, and he was playing IronJaws. We were playing Battle for the Pass, which is that new kind of funky triangle deployment zone. So, at the very least, it was gonna take him a little bit longer than normal to get to me. But he did deploy his Maw Crusher right at the pinnacle of that triangle on deployment. So he was only 24 away, and if you know anything about IronJaws, they can move. I think they can move the entire length of the board if they want to in their turn. They're really fast. You can see his list over here. He's got the Maw Crusher, Mega Boss with a Thermal Cloak Rider, so he's a little bit faster. He can fly. He's got his standard Shaman and War Chanter, and then of course the Iron Fists, Iron Suns, battalions of Gorgruntas, Brutes, and Ardboys. He did have that one big block of Ardboys. Yeah, my list is decently good at taking down hordes, so maybe I could take out some of those Ardboys. I was hoping he's going to lead them back to guard his base and then just bring everybody else up forward. That's kind of what he did for the most part, and so that did help me score some points here. We'll take a look at some pictures I got from this event, from this one. So here's our deployment, and after deployment, I do get to move these guys up a little bit, so I just kind of brought him up to shield. I knew he was going to be coming down one of these sides, and I needed to get my screens up as much as possible. I don't think he got off a teleport this turn, or he may have. They may have come in from back here. I can't remember. I played IronJaws so much lately that kind of blends together. But he did take first turn, and so he started bringing down his Maw Crusher this way, and would eventually take out these skinks here, score this objective, and get this one as well. Probably can see that in some of the next picture. Oh yeah, there we go. We got Maw Crusher coming down this bottom side. These Gorgruntas here, and then these Gorgruntas scored this one right there. And so this is actually after his first turn, and so he was able to score his objective and the two middle ones. There's a scoreboard there. We'll pop that up. In my turn, you can see I brought down the Ripperdactyls back here onto his Ardboys. They were guarding his base, and if he didn't have the -1 to hit, which I think comes from Iron Suns maybe, for the whole first turn, everything's -1 to hit, I'm pretty confident they would have taken out a lot more. But that -1 to hit hurt against the Ripperdactyls. They still did quite a bit of damage and started to start removing them. And then my Horde killing spell from my Skink Priest, you know, he's able to cast that usually with the +2 if I can get the Slann to give me the right constellation. So we started working on that horde of Ardboys. I know if I could take them out, he'd have to pull something back to guard his objective, because that was worth 4 points, where the ones in the middle are only worth 2 each. So that was a plan. I got the double turn, so on this one I was able to just keep summoning stuff and keep hitting the hordes with my spells and start wearing those guys down and summoning more screens. That's the only way to survive against this, is just to pull up screens and screens and screens against those guys, because they're so fast and they have such good movement that they'll get all around you. I was able to put 2 turns of the Bastiladon into the Maw Crusher, so I was able to get him down a little bit on that double turn, and all he had really done was killed that unit of skinks in his turn. So that's a pretty good trade. That double turn right there, I mean, that was pretty good. I was able to put quite a bit of damage on him. You can see here, this may be a few turns in. Actually, this may just be his next turn. We've gotten some more of the Ardboys. We've lost a lot of them. I think he may have taken some from Battle Shock. He'd used all his command points for movement the time before, and to wog up something. So I think we lost some Ardboys from Battle Shock. He's got some more Brutes that are right here, still heading down this way. They'll turn back around and kill them, I think. I was able to get some more skinks out in that turn and push them up that way. Just kind of screen some more of the Maw Crusher and pull in another screen here, just to try to keep my stuff alive. So That's really all that skinks are good for these days are screens. Their pullback, their weary fighter thing is useful in the right circumstances, but most people are keen to it now, and if you're playing a real good player, you won't get too much of a chance to pull those guys back, or if you do, just not advantageously. But I was able to clear most of those Ard boys out in that next turn. You can see his turn, he's bringing in his Maw Crusher towards my little bubble of protection there. And in his turn, he was able to get these the pigs up into here, take out that objective, and score that one back. But he just didn't have enough over here to take on this objective anymore. He was able to clear out the Ripperdactyls to secure his own objective. And you can see the Maw Crusher over here is working that. He was actually going for the Slann. Man, I don't have a picture of it. But at one point, he was up there attacking the Slann in the tower. And the Slann, he put all of Maw Crusher's attacks into the Slann. And somehow the Slann survived. It was amazing. The Maw Crusher rolled badly, I think, and then Slann just saved everything. So I think that was his turn 2. And then in my turn, I just teleported the Slann back to here, kind of in a protective bubble. Teleported some skinks up here to do some work. They were planning on heading towards that objective if they survived. They didn't make the charge, so they weren't going to get it that turn. But then just summoning in more stuff, putting some more damage on Maw Crusher. I think I got this turn. I think I got the Maw Crusher down to 1 wound. Couldn't quite kill him, and he retreated after that. I think maybe in his turn he tried to attack the Bastiladon, but I just command pointed him to where I could reroll saves of 1, and that makes Bastiladon really hard to kill. So he retreated the Maw Crusher back, kind of waiting for an opening, I think, hoping maybe to get the double turn. But from 2 to 3, it did go my way, and I was able to pull off some shenanigans. I think maybe it was this group of skinks here that when he attacked, he had brought this guy this way, and the unit of brutes that way, and then wasn't able to attack with him first. And for some reason, he wasn't doing smashing and bashing as often as I think he could have been doing. Maybe it just didn't proc off, but I feel like he should have been doing smashing and bashing more. Anyway, this unit of skinks was able to retreat towards that objective and was able to keep him from scoring his own objective in that turn. So the skinks are useful for that if you know, not played against properly. But Dan's a good player. He came in 6th in the whole tournament. I think this may have been his only loss that he suffered the whole weekend. And maybe it was due because he wasn't doing smashing and bashing. He may have just forgotten it. When I was thinking back about this one, I don't remember him ever doing smashing and bashing. So it may have just been the first game of the tournament. He may have just forgot. And that may be the only reason I won. I don't know. But it was a good game there. You can see he sent in his pigs here. I think he could have. He was so worried about the Slann. I think if he had instead worried more about this objective here and taken out some of these skinks, he could have charged them in and probably wiped those unit of skinks with those pigs. But he was focused on that Slann. Wanted to get rid of that Slann and the double teleports and get rid of some of that stuff I'd been doing. So he was coming in hard for that Slann there and brought the pigs in, and they were able to kill him. They wiped out the Slann there eventually. But then they got bogged down. I think they got killed off by the Engine of God, maybe charging and some other stuff. Maybe the next turn or so. But you can see he did wipe one unit of skinks. I brought these up closer. And I was going to try to charge them in and then retreat back around. But I may not have been able to. I may have just not had enough room or something. I can't remember exactly what happened there. But these skinks here in my turn, they were already scoring this objective, so I don't even think I had to move them. And then this one was just a little protective bubble here. But at this point, we had Gordrak's still, or not Gordrak, the Maw Crusher's still alive, but I was able to take him out in my turn. And at that point, he just didn't have enough models. He had the Mega Boss was down over here. He teleported him around a little bit, trying to get him into combat, but He just didn't quite have enough models to finish the points. He eventually brought his Mega Boss in here to attack some of these guys, try to steal that objective, but just didn't quite have enough models. And I was able to hold this one basically the rest of the game. Let's see if we have any more pictures here. Yeah, you can see he was able to, that double turn from 3 to 4, I think he was able to clear out quite a bit of stuff, but he wasn't able to clear me. And so I still had my big monsters here, and he only had one model left. And then these skinks over here were able to hold on to that objective. And I just teleported a banner and spawned in some skinks right here on this objective within range. So in that bottom of 4, I was able to score 9 points. And that was a point where it just kind of sealed it. So once I scored all the points on the board, there was really no coming back. He just didn't have enough models to compete or to capture anymore. He turned around and I think got this one and maybe this one for 3 points. Yep, his turn. And then I could just sit on mine for another 3 and win the game. So game 1 started off good. We had a fun time. It was a close game. It was a really close game. We enjoyed it. Lots of movement around the table. Anytime you're playing with IronJaws and Seraphon, there is a ton of movement around the table. Here's how we ended there. But had a blast. Good game. Real good opponent, Dan, and he did well the rest of the tournament, as IronJaws seems to do right now. They're very good. They're very fast. They can hit real hard. Can stack all their command points to get tons of extra points, tons of extra combat, and have lots of movement shenanigans and stuff. So they're in a very good place. That's probably why you saw so many in the top 10, top 20. There were lots of IronJaws there, but great game. I suspect he could have won if he was doing smashing and bashing more. He may have just forgotten, or maybe it just didn't have a chance to go off. I can't remember 100%, but I feel like there should have been some more smashing and bashing going on in this game. But regardless, great game. Game 2 is not my favorite game type. It's Places of Arcane Power, so you need 3 heroes to capture objectives, and the longer they hold it, the more points you get. So not the best one for us. I do have 2 engines, but I mean, they're really our tankiest hero that's worth anything. You can bring a Carnosaur, but they're terrible. The engine has a 4-up, 10 wounds, a little bit more utility than a Carnosaur, so it's Seraphon's best option for a hero at the moment. So in this one, I knew I was going up for a difficult time, especially when I saw who I got matched up against. This was Jonathan Lusk's list. He's playing 5 Magma Dross in Fyreslayers. Ooh, that's not good. I mean, that's like the worst possible list to go up against for this one right here. I mean, maybe not the worst possible, but it's bad because he's got 5 pretty tanky, pretty killy heroes that can all grab these objectives. They all have prayers. They all do mortal wounds. They have a lot of utility. That's probably not the strongest Fyreslayers list, but it's perfect for this game type where he needs heroes to capture quickly and then hold the objectives. And so 5 Magma Dross, not good. I do outdrop him, and so my plan was just to hold him up as much as possible. I don't think I have a picture of the deployment, but here's after my first turn. So what my plan was just to hold up his line as much as possible. I've got to keep him screened, make him waste a turn on skinks, and see what happens. See, he had 1 Magma Droth here, 1, there's number 2, 3, 4, and then 5 was over here. So I couldn't really get my rippers into those middle 3, but I could take one of these on the end and deal with it. And so my strategy was to take this objective turn 1 with an engine, take this one with an engine, and then leave this one open and try to claim it in a later turn. And so everything went pretty well. The first turn I got Purple Sun into his guys here, killed off a couple dwarfs. Didn't do any damage to his Magma Dross, but it effectively blocked this path. He couldn't fit his base into here between his forge that he put there in front of him. And so these two Magma Dross are going to have to go around this way into my Skinks and waste a turn that way. My Rippers did take out one of his Magma Dross, which was the one that was going to be heading over this way. And so that plan worked well. The Rippers were pretty much instantly killed in this next turn as usual. But that means I had him pinned in pretty good. This Magma Dross is only going to come a few inches this way and get stuck. And then this one's going to come down this way, but isn't going to make it to that objective on this turn. So my plan worked. We'll see what happens after that. Now, we'll pop the scores here. So he did end up winning this game. He got the double turn from 1 to 2. And I think that's probably what turned the tide there. Just if I could have kept the priority going which way, then I could have probably taken on another Magma Dross early on and kept him screened out. Just kept throwing up junk in his way and just hold on to these two objectives. But that double turn, he was able to basically clear these unit of skinks here and right here and get into my important stuff. Let's see what the next picture is here. So this one's probably in the next turn. It looks like, yeah, because he's cleared my. This is probably after his double turn, maybe, or right before his double turn. So he's cleared those two units of skinks. He's moved these guys over. When he got the double, I pulled the sun back and hit both of these units. And I think it only killed out of 20 dice. I think it only rolled 1/6. Sometimes the purple sun is amazing. Sometimes it does nothing. His Magma Dross this one was coming down over here. And he did come down and hit this engine on his double turn, but didn't quite kill it. And so he was only able to score 1 point. I think he killed this guy. He had some prayers up here and was doing some range damage. So I think he took that one away from me and scored 1 point. So at this point, I was up, but I knew his heroes were, if I couldn't get him screened back out or killed, then they were going to do some pretty heavy damage to me. So yeah, you can see I think this is after his double turn maybe. My engine that was holding this one's gone now. This may be after my next turn because I pulled some shenanigans here. But this may be after my movement, because I cleared this one here in a minute. I'm not sure what he's doing here. But you can see he cleared my engine here, threw up Palisades. He still has one Magma Dross back here, the one that's doing the prayers, and he had one sent over this way. This one was getting low on health, and we ended up killing it. I teleported a Skink Priest and some Skinks over here, hoping for the double turn. And so if I could get the turn from 2 to 3, then I was just going to move the Skinks all the way up as far as I could, and then the Skink Priest up. This was before this guy came down, so I'm not exactly sure. This may be in between there, but this may be in his next turn. But my plan was to capture it with that one. Even though it wouldn't last very long, that's an extra point. You just got to start taking them. And we were able to kill this Magma Dross off, and we just started shooting this one here in that turn. So you can see here, as the battle advances, I pull in some more Razordons just to keep shooting. I needed shooting. I was able to clear off that Magma Dross and that one. And if I got that may have been with that double turn, maybe. I lost an engine. I lost this engine down here, I guess, killing off that Magma Dross. Had to move my Slann over there to start capturing that one again. And he's getting this one up here now. My plan was to run this guy up here if I could, but at this point it was too late. So there just wasn't going to be enough points available in the game, even holding on to him as long as I could, to keep it going. So that may be the last picture we had there. Here we go. He brought his other magma droth down to capture that. Looks like I teleported. Yeah, I was trying to get this magma droth off here. This may have been the turn round 4 turn maybe. I teleported the banner and the Bastiladon over here, and then summoned in a Razordon. 2 Razordons, it looked like. I had enough points for 2 Razordons. So I'm getting, what is that? 6 D6 shots from those guys. All re-rolling my hits. Bastiladon has rend, 2 damage, and I don't know that it did any damage to that magma droth. It was just a horrible roll. I needed to shoot him off there and then charge these guys in to score that point. But at least it would keep him from getting those extra points there. But that wasn't the case. So I think that's how the game ended there. Yeah. So I was able to kill 3 of the magma droths, but just couldn't get off the other 2. I think it really came down to that first double turn. If he hadn't gotten the double turn and I could have kept him pinned in, then I would have had a lot better chance. I would have accumulated more points. I would have teleported somebody over to that other 3rd objective, scored just an extra one there, and we really could have kicked off the points at the beginning. But it was just hard to deal with that many heroes on this objective, on this game time, when they're all pretty tanky and can deal out some decent damage. So. Good game though. It was closer than. Well, I don't know that it was that close. I lost my heroes pretty quick, and the Slann's not going to do it much. But I was able to kill 3 of his magma droths, so I'll take that as a moral victory. But good game. My 3rd game was against Match Thornton, and he was playing Skaven. We're doing Starstrike, which is the new one where it can come down anywhere on the board. You roll 2 dice, and it's between 1 and 12, 6 inches apart, anywhere on the board. So you never really know where it's going to go. On the previous one, you kind of had, 3 different zones it could land in. So you could kind of plan for that. This one, it's pretty random. You have a pretty good chance of it coming down in the middle somewhere, but you never really know. His list, he was playing Skaven. He had the Warp Seer, which is always a tough hero to fight. His Arch Warlock to pump up all his guys, and the Bombardier to also pump up his guys. 20 Clan Rats, 20 Clan Rats, 20 Clan Rats, 20 Skyr Acolytes, 6 Storm Fiends, and a Hell Pit Abomination. So that was pretty cool. I haven't ever played against a Hell Pit, so that was kind of fun to see. It's a pretty nasty model. And it can do some damage if it gets to you. Sometimes it's slow or fast. You never really know because it has random movement. In this one, everybody's kind of cagey on how they start just because you have no idea where the objectives are going to fall. And so we both kind of set up that way. He set up almost as far back on the board as you could. Let's see if we can pull up the first picture here and turn off his list. There we go. So you can see his units set up, and they were pretty. I mean, you had 12 inches to work with, but he pretty much set up as far back as he could. You kind of see my protective bubble here. He had a gnaw hole over here, one here, and then one back here. So it was set up pretty good to hit wherever that Starstrike objective is going to fall. So that was pretty smart. Talked to him later, and he said his plan was to send the Storm Vermin in through a gnaw hole to hit my guys, but you'll see in a second they never really had a chance. Probably if we were playing again, he would take those Storm Vermin, and since I introduced him quickly to Shadowstrike and the Purple Sun, he might take the Storm Vermin and kind of screen them with some Clan Rats. He had plenty of Clan Rats, and this one over here was kind of off by itself, so that would have made a perfect screen for these units, and then I would have been throwing my Ripperdactyls into Clan Rats, which seems like a waste. I did outdrop him, so I took the first turn, and basically everything in the army went exactly how I planned it. Now, it doesn't always go that way. But I teleport the Slann in, 9 inches away, and then cast the Purple Sun. And so you can see, yes, here's the Purple Sun has hit the Clan Rats, the Vermin Lord, and the Storm Vermin. And so, or the Storm Fiends, sorry. And then I followed it up with the Ripperdactyls. But the Purple Sun, okay. The Purple Sun, it hits him, and I roll 2 6s. And since they had, at first we were just like, okay, we're going to remove 2 Storm Fiends, which I'm like, hey, that's amazing. That's more than I could have hoped for. Those guys are nasty. And removing 2 of them instantly is awesome. But then it was like, wait, they have 6 or more wounds, so we need to look at the rules. Okay, it says 6 or more wounds. Instead of just removing it, it only does 2d6 damage to each one. So like, okay, so they might survive. So I roll 4 dice for the 2d6 6s, and so each one gets 2d6 dice. And I rolled 2 6s and 2 5s, so 25 mortals go into the Storm Fiends. So I think I killed 3 of them and left 1 on some wounds left. And then I brought in the Ripperdactyls, and they finished them off there. So that was literally as the best thing I could have hoped for there. The Storm Fiends wiped out turn 1, and that's amazing because the Storm Fiends are nasty. I do not like getting shot by them. I don't like getting in combat with them. They are not fun. So that was amazing. That went off. And then I just started working down the hordes. So I used my spells to hit the hordes. Basically everything else I can't really do much else from here, from range. Engines don't do anything. I got in some more Ripperdactyls here, so I got to put out another Bloat Toad. I think I don't remember where I put it. Oh, I put it here in the middle. Just anticipating something coming down here, and hopefully the Starstrike falling somewhere in here, so that way we can hit these other Ripperdactyls with that Bloat Toad. Other than that, we may have summoned something in. I think this is before the end of my turn. You can just see the Ripperdactyls coming in and stuff. And they cleared off. We cleared off some acolytes with the spells and some clan rats. I think maybe one of the Ripperdactyls had hit the clan rats and do some damage there. So this is his turn here. His first turn. He's bringing some stuff up. These guys were heading over towards this gnaw hole, and one of his heroes popped up over here. The hell pit's coming down this way. His Vermin Lord basically had to walk around the sun. Was kind of trapped by him and could only really do anything to the Ripperdactyls. There were 2 left, I guess, after fight back, and he was able to take them out. He shot some of them off with the acolytes, but they were pinned with the clan rats back here by one of the Ripperdactyls. So he may have retreated the clan rats this way just to try to get some board space there. Prepare for where the objectives would eventually fall down. Here's the scores here. You can see that I did end up winning this one, and it's, as with Starstrike, a lot of times it's where the objectives come down. So the objective comes down right here in the middle of the board, basically, which is pretty good for me. I did get the first turn of round 2, so I was able to summon in bodies. I actually was able to summon in 2 units of Ripperdactyls, and so send them forward. I think I teleported one of them, and I don't remember where the other one came from. It must have come from another teleport or another summon from earlier or something. I can't remember. But I was able to get basically all my Ripperdactyls back out there. So I had Ripperdactyls back. These guys cleared those clan rats that were there. I put some more damage from my spells onto the acolytes just to try to clear down that shooting, because they have strong shooting, good mortals or rend or something. I can't remember. But at this point, I had a lot of skinks on this objective, and his main bodies were over here on the left side, and so I just sent these Ripperdactyls over here. There were only 2 of them. Oh, I teleported them out of here. That's where they came from. That's right. I teleported. They survived the Vermin Lord. So I teleported over to him basically just to screen this zone here so that these clan rats couldn't get over to the objective. And if they did, they were going to have to run the long way that way. So I'm just trying to make sure that that I'm not going to have to worry about those clan rats coming down this way. Here's the next couple of turns. You can see his Verminlord came down and cleared out the Ripperdactyls that were there. I brought in just another screen, just to try to help out with the objectives. This may have been after that next turn. Oh, so yeah, in between 2 and 3, the objectives fall. Mine is right here, which was convenient because I wasn't very far from it. And his was all the way back up here in the top left corner, which is where he had just run all his guys away from. So these guys were heading down this way. They cleared out those Ripperdactyls. And now his objective is up in the far left corner. So I got the first turn of round 3, which is always nice on Starstrike when you get the first turn on these ones. And so I was able to get some units up there and score his objective, easily cover mine, and then just create a nice bubble here that even if his hell pit came down and cleared out these guys, they weren't going to hit it. He had moved the purple sun slowly this way in the last 2 turns, hitting some stuff, kill off some skinks and whatnot, but really what happened is it actually kind of blocked out his Verminlord from coming down this way. It made it a little bit more difficult for his Verminlord. But at this point I scored all the objectives, scored 9 points, and I think we were able to call it there. We were getting to the point where he didn't really have too many bodies left. He finally did call in the Vermintide spell, which actually is pretty nasty. I haven't ever seen the endless spell put out before. He'd failed it every turn until finally it may have been 3 or 4. I think we played through 4, but I just didn't write down the scores there. I don't think whatever it was, it mattered. He may not even been able to score any on that one, just because of where the hell pit was, and he wasn't able to get in. Verminlord was having to deal with stuff I was sending over to him on that side, and I was able to get the skinks to where they could score it and not be in any danger. So, yeah, I think maybe he attacked the hell pit here first. And then I was able to pull back these skinks. So was able to keep them in scoring distance. These guys piled in, but didn't do too much. But at that point, it was just he just didn't have enough bodies. He was never going to be able to get back up to force anything on this one. And then his hell pit wasn't. It was going to be able to do some damage here, but just wasn't going to be able to body out what I had around this objective. His Verminlord could have come in, but it just at this point it was over. It was just I had taken out too many bodies. My army's decently good at taking out hordes, but really just that first strike on those Storm Fiends, I think, is really what decided the game. Getting the purple sun to kill 3 of them, and then killing off the other 2 with the Ripperdactyls is that's a brutal first turn. So next time, I think if he screens those properly, it'll help a whole lot. Won't lose them instantly. Purple Sun probably could have still reached them, but you can't count on that many mortals from Purple Sun every game. That was just a pure lucky roll. But we had fun. It was a good game, and he kept it interesting until the end. Good stuff. Game 3, I got Marco Hernandez playing IronJaws again. I'm tired of IronJaws. I've played IronJaws a lot the last few tournaments as they've become popular again with the new General's Handbook, making them real good. And so he has a standard, 1-drop battalions with the Maw Crusher, etc. You know the list by now if you've played them. But I rolled them on the worst game type. This was Duality of Death, so you've got 2 objectives. You split up into these 2 different zones, and then battle line or hero can capture it. So my battle line is terrible. Skinks. They're not going to hold anything. My heroes are somewhat squishy, so they're not going to hold much. So you hope for this one to get an easier faction to go up against maybe, or something you can work with, but IronJaws on this one is rough because they're going to 1-drop you, they're going to get to it, and then they're going to hold it. So they've got the speed and they've got the mass to hold on to those. So We still had a good game, though, and I tried to make it interesting. Well, look at some of the... So check out this table. This table was nuts. So especially for this game type, because you got your objectives here and here. Well, not quite there. It's back behind this giant building, and then your deployment zones were all screened by these weird looking. And here's another one here. By these weird looking buildings that made it really hard to do anything with. I knew my guys could fly, so I could just come over the top of this. So I was really just trying to screen to make sure he couldn't teleport anything into me, which he still did. There's only so much you can screen for. I tried to send one guy on my pre game movement from the battalion to get up here, and hoping I could at least get onto that objective to force, I don't know, something. But I think I rolled like 3 inches or something for those guys to move. These guys, I just didn't even move them. It wasn't worth it. I knew his guys were going to come down and get it, and that's exactly what happened. So he took first turn, of course, and oh, here's the teleport. So he teleported these guys in, then does his movement afterwards, which, you know, Seraphon just got removed. Maybe we'll get, you know, after teleportation movement added back in if we get updated. But so right now they get to teleport and then move, so that's always fun. So he sends these guys in here, and he gets like 1 into here. He gets an incredible charge. It's like 11 inches, so he climbs up the wall, goes after this guy, and then takes out some skinks. So, you know, you think you have it screened to where they can't come in out here, but then they come in outside 9, move, and then roll 11-inch charge plus 2 or something from the battalion. So, yeah, not much you can do about that. Oh, yeah, here's his nice little formation on one objective. So he goes onto this objective with that giant formation. And there's pretty much nothing in my army that can do anything against that. That's impenetrable. So I wasn't even going to try. I did cast some spells onto these guys in my turn, started whittling them down, but you know, you do some mortals and stuff here and there, but it's not quite enough. I did cast Purple Sun and get it onto Maw Crusher and these guys. Took out a few. I mean, was whittling them down throughout the game, but never rolled a 6 on the Maw Crusher, so didn't ever do any mortals to him. The other objective, so the one on my side, had 10 brutes on it, which are disgusting. You know, those guys hit incredibly hard, have a lot of wounds, and this guy right here will pump them up to ridiculous proportions. So this is another. I mean, from turn 1, I knew this game was over. I mean, when I saw the faction I was playing, I knew the game was over. But the most you could hope for is somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, I guess. But Marco's a good player, so he pretty much knew it was over too. So my first turn, he took first turn, obviously, scored both those objectives, and now, you know, all he has to do is hold on to one of them for the rest of the game. He's fine. So it was obviously over. I pulled these guys back. I brought in my Riperdactyls because I knew I had to take this objective. I couldn't let them hold it 2 turns or it would be game over for sure. So I put a bunch of mortals into his War Chanter from the engines and from the Slann with some spells. Brought in the Riperdactyls. Brought in a Razordon. Put all my shooting into the... So basically my entire army into the brutes. And I was able to take out the brutes and the War Chanter that turn. So I was able to score 1 point. Woo! So that was a victory right there. We did cast Purple Sun. Got it over here onto these guys. Took out a couple. Didn't really do too much, to be honest. After the game versus Skaven, you know, I think it had performed its task. But then on his turn, because he can move all the way across the board with IronJaws, he basically brought Gordrak, or not Gordrak, Maw Crusher, over this way, some pigs over this way, and cleared out just about everything I had. So Took out an engine, took out the rippers. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. So they have so much movement and so much killing power that I can't really do too much to them. But you know, hey, these Arbors down here didn't kill up the engine, so you know that was cool. So yeah, on his turn, if I had gotten a double turn, I don't think I could have won, but maybe it would have been a better game. I could have summoned in a bunch of screens and just filled up my side of the board and then just slowly worked his side down. I don't know. I mean, let's be honest. That wasn't going to happen, even if I got the double turn. But he got the turn into 2, so I moved the sun again, killed off a couple more Ard boys from that group. Not that big a deal. Then Maw Crusher came over here and Maw crushed all my stuff. Oh, that's the last. Yeah. So at that point, we didn't call the game yet. I did get my turn, and I came in, and I think I killed out. I killed Maw Crusher. I think I just shot him with the Bastiladon. I think I summoned in 2 more Razordons and teleported them over here. Something I don't think. To be honest, I don't remember. This game was over before it even started. But I was able to kill Maw Crusher, and maybe I think I killed those pigs too. So I charged in. Oh, I remember what happened. So I killed Maw Crusher. He takes the pigs up here, kills whatever it was up here, and then I basically come in and clear off this objective of his pigs. But so I was going to hold that objective. We called it there a lot. We're just saying I was going to hold the objective the rest of the game. He was going to hold the other one, and the game would have been over. And we shook hands, called the game. I'm officially tired of playing IronJaws. No, they are so fast and can kill you in many different ways. So it was good stuff. We still had fun, even though it was a maw-crushing game. All right, good game, Marco. So game 5 is Scorched Earth. Ooh, yes, a Seraphon favorite because there's 8 objectives. And you can burn the enemy, so you don't have to hold it for very long. These are the ones that Seraphon loves. So I was looking forward to this game the most. You know, hey, end the tournament on a high note here. Maybe I can go 3-2. That's usually my goal with Seraphon, is to get to 3-2. So let's have a good opponent here. Maybe one that can't move too much. Doesn't have maybe an elite army so that I can just teleport in behind, steal their stuff, that kind of thing. These games are this game type is my favorite game type. But I got a terrible, I mean, a great opponent, but just not the best one for this game type. So I saw it was Khorne. Okay, I played a lot of Khorne lately. I can deal with that. We got a Bloodthirster. We got another Bloodthirster. We have Arcane. Great. We got a Bloodstoker, Slaughter Priest, 10 Blood Reavers, 10 Blood Reavers, 10 Blood Reavers, 5 Chaos Marauder Horsemen. Okay, well, he still doesn't have a whole lot of units. You know, just 4 battle line units, and then the the standard Khorne heroes. But then Arcane. All right, so maybe this is doable. We'll see how he deploys. This was Jeff, by the way, real good player. Made it pretty high up. He was up there. He was up there with Arcane. Was wrecking people this weekend as well. So here's our deployment, and you can see he does an expert job of screening me out of everything. So basically, from here on back, there is no place for me to put 9 inches in. So here to here, nothing here, here, nothing here, here, nothing. Like, he's got it screened perfectly. And so he knows my tricks. He knows what I'm trying to do. And so he has it screened well. My pre-deployment movement, or post-deployment movement, I just moved these guys up. I kept them within 6 of this objective. Move those guys up. really just to try to keep those Bloodthirsters back as far as possible. He outdropped me, and so he was able to get all his buffs on Archaon. So Archaon was at a 2-up, re-rolling. So that's always fun to try to deal with. He bronze fleshed him from a priest, and then he had re-rolling ones from I don't know what. But Archaon at a 2-up re-rolling 1 is pretty impossible to kill. So on his turn, he basically kept a lot of these guys here. He brought the Bloodthirster down to kill these skinks, and Archaon to kill these skinks, and take this objective. I think he was able to get Archaon maybe right over into here, so he could double pile in and take out both of them. I think that's what happened. Yeah. So this is after my turn. This is a little bit later. I must have not had too many pictures. But on his first turn, so he's coming in, and I know that I'm not going to get... I don't have a way to take out Archaon. This list doesn't have that much punch. All my punch comes from the Ripperdactyls, and they have no rend. So even if I put him into Archaon, he's got a 2-up rerolling 1s. They're not going to get much damage through. So I was just going to have to try to take out the Bloodthirster and then go after objectives. So with this unit pretty much gone and this one gone, and I think this one may have survived. We'll see in the next picture. I had to start playing some objectives here. So I'm pulling back skinks here. This may have been from a summons. I think we've already put some damage onto him. So I lost this one skink here, survived his Bloodthirster. And then I brought the Ripperdactyls in to kill that Bloodthirster right there. We'll pull up the scores here. There they are. So you can see I got the first double turn, and that helped because I was able to teleport in some skinks back over here. And since it was now round 2 and you could burn objectives, I brought my Ripperdactyls here, took out his Blood Reavers, I think, and burned basically both of these objectives here. Those skinks were able to get that one. He had left, I literally had like a line. It was like the barest minimum of 9 inches. I had to take them off their movement trays to fit them in. And then I made a charge, and they actually made the charge. They needed 9 inches, they got 10. And so one of them made the charge, and then I just pulled them back and was able to score that objective. We did have some combat here. He attacked these Ripperdactyls first, but the Blood Reavers didn't do really too much. Not too many were in, and the Ripperdactyls wiped them. So I was able to score quite a few points there, and you know it wasn't looking too bad. It was 10-5 after my turn in round 2, and he later said he was kind of sweating it a little bit, thinking that maybe there was a chance. But I mean, I still had no answer for Archaon. I had shot him with the Bastiladon, and we put some wounds on him. We shot him a lot with the skinks, and I think a couple of the skink shots actually got through. I can't remember. It was like a 1 and then re-rolled a 1 or something. But the Bastiladon got a few through. He rolled like 2 2s on it, and so with -1 rend, those actually went through. But he was going to get the next turn, and so I knew he was. You know, Arcane was just going to come over here in this big giant hole. There wasn't much I could do. I could either screen this side or this side, and he was going to hit a bunch of stuff and do his double pile in and double attacks and stuff. So I did get 7 points. I got my 3, and then I got 4 from these 2. So it wasn't such a bad turn. It wasn't too bad. Maybe his D3 burns on mine just wouldn't go his way, and maybe we could win that way. That's still, I think, in my... oh, no. This is after. So I shot him, and I sent my Bastiladon into him. Okay? So maybe this wasn't the right plan, but I knew if I didn't tie him up, then he's just going to come around with Archaon and blast this objective out. So I charged in my Bastiladon into Archaon, and he's 3-up unrendable, and I had plenty of command points, so I was just going to command point him every combat phase to reroll once. So 3-up unrendable, rerolling 1s, he should be able to tank Arcane at least one turn. Okay? So he did a little bit of damage on his attack, not much. But Arcane has that Slayer of King's Sword. And it's 4 attacks. If you get through the hits, then you do the roll, the wound rolls. And if 2 6s happen in the wound roll, the monster hero is slain. So pretty rare. He said it hadn't happened to him in a long time. Of course, what does he do? He slays the Bastiladon with 2 6s on the wound roll. So now I don't have anything for Arcane. So now on his turn, he's free to go wherever he wants to. And he has plenty of movement. So on his turn, he gets Arcane into my banner and engine, which I think if I were playing it, I mean, he was just trying to kill the heroes, I think. Just trying to kill off models. But I just would have taken him. I would have taken him around this other side here and taken that objective. But he took out those guys. Smart play. I think he killed both of them. And he may have even killed those skinks there too. He has 2 attacks that he can do as long as he does the command point. He also summoned in these dogs here, these Khorne hounds, the Khorne dogs, and they actually made the charge to get reroll charges. So they rolled that charge and went over there and was able to capture that objective on his turn. And this little priest here was real annoying. He just kept working these Razordon, or the Riprodactyls. And since he got the double turn from 2 to 3, he had 2 turns basically of this prayer, whatever that is. The endless, totally not an endless spell. Endless prayer, which I can do nothing against. Just worked these guys over for 2 D3 mortals each turn. So that was 4 D3 mortals into the Rippers, plus 2 D6 mortals from these guys, this guy onto him. So if he hadn't gotten the double turn, my plan, there was a little avenue, a window right into here where I could have sent those guys, and I may have been able to capture that objective. He had these guys screened out so much that they may have not been in 6 anymore. If I could have snuck that objective and burned it, it would have been an awesome play. They moved 14, and I think I was at +1 to run in charge at the moment, so I could have gotten into those guys there and killed off enough to take that objective. But he got the double turn, so that didn't happen. He killed off all but 2, I think. These guys killed off them, and the dogs came down and killed off those guys. So he was able to score 4 points that turn. I think he burned this one, and then on the double turn, he burned the one in the back. So there's Arcane coming into the Slann and the skinks here. He did his double attack again and was able to take out the Slann and the skinks and burn that objective. So now he had 2 from his home, and I think he only rolled a 1 and burned that one. So his rolls for burning them were pretty poor, so that was good. But at this point, I had 1 skink priest, which I think he died this turn. And so I was left with just these 2 Riprodactyls. So wasn't going to be enough for the game. Even if I brought him back here to protect this, Arcane was coming down here the next turn, and then he was still scoring these 2. So that double turn right there is really what killed me, did me in from 2 to 3. But the double turn from 1 to 2 is really the only thing that kept me alive. So, goes both ways, I guess. So it was a good game. I did put quite a few wounds on Arcane by the time it was over, until I lost him at Stildom, and pretty much nothing else hurt him. He did a really good job screening out, and so that was, I think, what won him the game. Even though he didn't even ever move this Bloodthirster, it was just there to keep me from teleporting anything in. So he was just screening his side and then using Arcane to grab my objectives. So it was a good game plan. It was a good game. He was knew his army well. So it was a fun game. It was a little bit closer than it probably ever should have been due to my first double turn. And so that kept it interesting. So, good game, Jeff. So, overall, you know, the tournament was good. I had a lot of fun. I mean, you always have fun getting to roll dice and play Warhammer, but it really showed some of the weaknesses of Seraphon. It doesn't matter how, you know, tricky you are. Once they get on the objectives or get into combat, your army's wiped. Against Khorne, against IronJaws, the combat is just too much to deal with, and we don't really have any good melee options in Seraphon. We have some okay spells, we have okay shooting, we have some okay melee, we have okay movement, and all that's good until you run up against somebody who has, like, you know, incredibly powerful in one of those areas. And then if they get a hold of you, then you're dead. So if they have really good movement, like IronJaws, they outdrop you, of course, because it's one drop, then they'll be up on you, and you won't have time to start summoning your hordes and sending stuff out. Same with Khorne. If you can get one Bloodthirster killed with Ripper-Dactyls, that's easy. I always seem to do that. And then start shooting the other ones. It can go okay, but as soon as they get into combat with you, it's over. Because they can spend Blood Tithe to double pile in. They can spend Blood Tithe for extra movement. They can summon stuff. They're really good in melee. Really, honestly, I think I could have easily gone 0-5 if that first IronJaws player had remembered to smash and bash. I think that was the only difference between me winning and him losing there. And then Skaven, you know, if that purple sun hadn't gotten off on the storm fiends and he had screened them well, you know, there's not much else I can do to those storm fiends. If I got to drop the Ripper-Dactyls in on clan rats, and that my hammer's kind of wasted on that one. So I don't know. I'm going to retool my list a little bit. I think I can get my drops down. I'm not crazy about going Draco's Tail just because the Knights in Seraphon are terrible. So I think I can pull out kind of a cheap version of a Thunderquake plus Shadowstrike list all in one. Get it down to about 4 drops. And it'll be a good all-around army. I don't know that it can compete against the meta right now. We'll have to wait for the new Battle Tome, you know. Maybe they'll make it to where, you know, I have no idea. It'll either be OP or it'll be Gloomspite gets. Hopefully it's a well-balanced book whenever they do it. It is pretty bad when the entire army right now is reliant on a 7-wound Slann for a lot of your tricks and summoning and things. And we really need something with melee punch. Make those Stegodons, make them a melee hero. Give us some more attacks on the horns. Give us some rend on the stomps, maybe. Or at least a consistent stomp attack. And that could do a lot. I love the Stegodon's movement in the hero phase. I think there's a lot there to work with. You can do a lot of tricks there, and I may kind of try to focus on that. But their shooting is kind of poor, especially compared to a lot of other shooting in the game. Seraphon's is just way too random. I mean, our best thing is a Bastiladon, and I don't know how many times I've rolled for 3 shots from a Bastiladon. And even if you're re-rolling everything, you're going to miss 1 or 2 of those. And so then you're asking somebody, you've got 2 attacks at -1 rend. Okay? They save 1, you're doing 2 damage. 280 points plus 120 for a Thunderquake, plus all the other taxes. They got to make it more consistent. That's all I'm saying. So, I still love Seraphon. I'm going to keep playing them, obviously. But a new book would be awesome. Do you hear, GW? Update Seraphon. We need help. So I was top Seraphon, came in at 51 out of almost 100. So Seraphon's middle of the road, literally. All right, thanks for watching. Well, I'll see you all later.